What it do, boys? It's your league commish here, Dennis Graves. You may also know me as your reigning champion. Back again for another fantasy football intro video. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was trying to learn a whole editing-ass platform for YouTube videos just so I could talk my shit properly, but it takes a while to learn some of the softwares. Some of the ideas and some of the stuff I wanted to use is kind of hard to execute. Still trying to figure all that out, so probably gonna make that very nice edited video next year. Just so I could figure everything out and want it to be everything I want it to be. Want to go full out with it, don't want to give it a half-ass. We already have 8 days left and kind of busy in those 8 days, so it's going to be kind of tough. So I'm just going to go back to this intro video. I'm here to update you on some things you don't know, like draft order. Some things you should know that are in the group me, but since I only get like 7-8 votes in some of the polls I put up, and there's definitely 12 of you guys in here, I know some of you just don't know what's going on, so just take this video as like a little refresher on what's going on in some of these polls. So we are going back to the $50 entry fee, the $50 buy-in. Last year I won. It felt a little bittersweet, only getting the shortened pot, but you know, I'm just gonna have to win again if I want that full glory, want that full payday. And you know, I'm feeling pretty confident going in to this league with you bunch of chumps. So yeah, going back to $50 buy-in. The pot will go back to what it was 2 years ago. I'll have to look that up, but it will be just like that, third place prize, so all that jazz. We're keeping the 4 IR spots. You know, we put those 4 IR spots in for the COVID season, but then we kind of just didn't need them for any COVID instances. A lot of the COVID players were questionable until game time, so you couldn't even put them in the IR spots that we designated them for, the whole reason we got them. We're keeping the 4 IR spots. You know, someone who had a lot of injuries actually used all the spots a lot of the time, so I'm not really mad at it, but the purpose we put it in for is not even going to be used. If someone catches COVID, I remember in the NFL, some people were getting over it in like a few days or just some shit, or false negatives, all that shit. Not taking right precautions, so they were pretty much just questionable till game time. But whatever, it's in there. What else do we got in here? Draft order. So draft order will be determined this Sunday. And if you don't know, the fantasy football draft will be the following Saturday. 6-day difference, you have some time to mock. But we will be doing it by picking from the pool of the capitals of all 50 states in America. We'll be assigning all 12 of us a random state capital. And we'll be determining draft order based on heat, Fahrenheit, temperature. So basically, you'll just be assigned a random capital, and whoever has the hottest place gets the number 1 pick. Whoever has the coldest place gets the 12th pick. I like the variety we have in here. The capitals aren't always the hottest part of the state. A lot of the southern Midwest states are very similar this time of year, so there's no outright winner. There will be some outright losers with sometimes how cold it is, but you know, it's all random. It's all variability based, so I'm still very happy with how we're going to determine that, and we still have some days to mock before draft day, so there will be that. So let's get to the favorite part of the video, me talking shit. So last year, I kind of just summed up our fantasy football careers in general. I brought up countless stats, made little metaphors, threw little hypotheticals, a little name calling here and there, but I'm going to focus this year's trash talk on the last 2 seasons, because you know football, it's a very what have you done for me lately kind of league. So let's see what you guys have started doing lately. I'm going to take 2 years worth of data. I'm going to actually start with the most losingest and go to the most winningest in the last 2 seasons. So I'm going to have you guys take a guess on which 2 you think were the 2 worst fantasy football players in the last 2 seasons. I'll give you some time. All right. Well, there goes your guessing time. Now, Finn, that guy's a gimme. You could see that from a mile away. The most losingest team in all fantasy football so far has the most losses. One of two people with back-to-back losing seasons in the 2-year study. One of which is actually not the next one; it's the one after that. I'll cover that in a second. He only had one winning season out of his first 6. And he made it to the championship. I will give him his kudos there, but man, this guy Finn needs to get something going. He's got to maybe switch up some management. We need a career rebuild, a franchise-changing change. We need something. Because whatever's going on right now is not working. Maybe more waiver wire pickups, maybe better draft strategies. Well, we need something from you, Finn. It's not been looking good for you. In 6 seasons, only one winning season. You gotta pick that up. Now, the other one is surprised me. Did surprise me. It was Mateo. Because although Mateo did go 7-6 in 2019, we didn't realize how bad Mateo actually was last year. Now, note, he did have the most points ever scored on him in a season in league history. Second year of the new format, but yeah, it's still pretty bad. He went 2-11, equating to both of the records being 9-17, because Finn went 3-10 and 6-7. So this was just bad stuff you really hate to see. It's Mateo's worst performance of his career. Our rivalry, I've taken the lead in it, 5-4 head-to-head all time. But again, a little unfortunate with some of his losses, but also some of the starts he was putting out there were a little tough as well. So you could label it as maybe he's a little washed in some of the information he was having, but also very unlucky. So yeah, those are the 2 worst triggers. Let's get 2 more people going. All right. The next 2 people are not much better than Finn and Mateo. Finn and Mateo, to remind you, were 9-17. These 2 were both 10-16. Now, this is Tony and our 3-time former champ, Mark Coelho. Washed, fraud, whatever words you want to call him. But to start with Tony, I didn't even write anything down for Tony because you know the deal with Tony. The fact is, Tony's week 1 roster was the same exact roster that he started in week 16. I know he was out of the playoffs by then, but that just shows you that he did not touch that team throughout the season. He does have waiver wire pickups, but yeah, they all rotated on the bench. None of them really started unless either one of them had a bye or out, or sometimes they'll just start a player that's out. You never really know with this guy. But the thing that makes Tony Tony was that, yes, he was 2-11 last year. But he was 8-5 the year before. Like, he could just make a run. And out of his 2 wins last year, one of them was me. Tony beat me. So, like, you just never know what the heck is going to happen with this guy. Literally the ultimate wild card. You can't predict what's going to happen. Something you can predict is Mark's trajectory these last few years have just been falling down. Now, again, Mark is one of 2 people to have losing records in both seasons, which only 2 people, that shows a lot of disparity between teams. Sometimes it's not always the same people on top. But Mark has been constantly in the bottom these last 2 seasons. So 4-9 last year, he did improve to 6-7, but he's one of 2 players with 2 losing records. And on contrary to Finn being the other one, Finn doesn't make that many waiver pickups. Sometimes I'm like, Finn, if you were just a little more active on the waivers, like you don't make your league at the draft night. It does help, but like what you do throughout the season is what helps. And Finn being one of the least active, Mark is actually one of the most active constantly every season we ever had on the waivers. And he'll surprise you. He'll have actually by like 20 or 30 more pickups than even people that are trying hard, like Austin, Brian, me, Devin, all these people that are also active on the waivers. Mark will have significantly more. And the fact that he's trying this hard and still losing so much, music to my ears. This guy, just say it with me, he's a fraud. The fact that he won 3 titles is so misleading on this guy's actual knowledge. He doesn't know anything. He's not good. We need to get this in our head. He's not a threat anymore at all. Washed. Done. Done talking about losing guys. Let's go talk about some other people. Looking at it now, instead of going for the next 2 boys, I'm going to dedicate this part of the video just to Josh. Josh went 11 and 15 in these last 2 seasons, but that's with going 1 and 12. 2 seasons ago in 2019. The worst record we've ever seen in league history. Now, we all felt bad for him because we're like, yo, he is trying. He is trying. Let's see what he could get cooking. You know, sometimes fantasy football is just a very unfortunate kind of game we play. But boy, what a bounce back. This man Josh went from 1 and 12 to 10 and 3, making it to the championship and almost winning it all. Would have been the tale of all of the seasons combined, but there had to be someone to spoil the party here. But let's continue to talk about Josh here. He's already having nightmares about Davante Adams in the corner of the end zone catching fades, but we're just gonna ignore that. We're talking about Josh. Josh has been fighting. I am 5-0 against Josh, all-time head-to-head, but he still put up a phenomenal fight in the championship. I'm actually scared what this guy can do moving forward. It's gonna be really risky. It's gonna be really risky playing him now. But anyways, what a comeback season from the guy. You really love this. Kind of getting out of the losing team territory here. We're now going to the 13 and 13 records in the last 2 seasons. Both of these people I'm about to name both had 13 and 13 records. It was Austin and Greg. Now, Greg, much more active than I remember Greg being in previous years. But Greg also got caught with the injury bug. His first round pick, Saquon Barkley, getting out early. Patrick Mahomes, another early pick, but early quarterbacks can always be so risky. But he was active on the waivers, pretty active on the waivers. He never had that one pickup that saved his season, so he went from 8 and 5 to 5 and 8. But overall, like, very formidable opponent this year. Greg is getting back into the swing of things. He very much has that Tony element of you don't know if he'll start all his players all the time. But also, he's trying a lot. His name is Jesus is King still. Maybe Kanye's not releasing until he changes his name to Donda, so we don't know what's going to happen with this guy and his name and his brand. But overall, you know, very, very even-keeled player throughout the middle. He's definitely improved a lot in waivers, too, so I think with some luck on his side, with the continued waiver usage, I think Greg could always be a formidable opponent. Then we have Austin, our champion 2 seasons ago. Now, I am kind of developing a little rivalry with Austin. Former champion, current champion, so there's that. 4 and 4 against him head-to-head all time. He had 2 different 3-game losing streaks. I played him twice last season where we split the series again. And some of his losses were a bit unlucky. You know, Austin is a formidable player. I hate to say it. But I kind of don't like that we're splitting everything, too, in terms of our head-to-heads and how we played each other twice last year. We split that as well. Yeah, I kind of just want to beat him more. So this is someone to where Austin is not having terrible seasons. 5 and 8 is kind of unlucky with some of the stuff he was going through last year, and he did win 2 seasons prior. So Austin is a formidable opponent. Always a what have you done for me lately thing, but also I think that Austin is very beatable. Now we're getting to the always tough part of the video, the hard matchups, the winningest teams in the last 2 seasons. I'm going to start this one with Phil, who was 14 and 12 these last 2 seasons. Bounced back from a 5 and 8 record in 2019 to go 9 and 4. But I'm not even here to talk about that. Tough loss against Brian or Devin, can't remember, but that's not important. What's important is the rivalry I'm now developing with Phil. We have 10 total games together in 6 seasons, the most in any head-to-head matchup I have, and I've only won 3 of them. Yes, I am awful against Phil. He's won 7 out of the 10. He's on a 3-game winning streak, which is in the last 2 seasons, where last year he beat me in head-to-head, the second matchup being my win or get-in game. Lost to Phil, so that's pretty tragic. And then this year I had my lowest total of the season against Phil. I just can't figure it out against this guy's defense. This guy really knows how to just stop my scoring against him, and it's gotten kind of sad. I average 88.6 points, which is the lowest in any head-to-head matchup I have against anybody. Yeah, this is just all the theme. I can't figure this guy out. As a winning team, thank God I didn't play him in the playoffs is what it looks like. But yeah, I'm going to need to start picking it up against this guy. I'm glad he was knocked out before he got to me. Someone who I'm not that scared to play anymore, though, is the Bloodline. Vinny. Actually undefeated against Vinny in the regular season. I'm 4-0 against Vinny in the regular season. Vinny has been known to have some pretty solid records together. 7-6 in 2019, followed up with even better 9-4 last year. My one loss against Vinny all time, I'm 5-1 against him, was in the playoffs where he beat me in one of my better seasons in my fantasy career, and it always haunted me. But I got my retaliation this year. I knocked him out, and I won it all, and now I have everything over this guy. Got my playoff retaliation and undefeated against him in the regular season. What can I do? So the final 2 lads. The 2 most winning people in the last 2 seasons actually being Brian and Devin. I'm gonna start with Brian here. Brian, very, very respectable 10-3 record last year, following up from his 7-6 the year prior. Tough playoff matchups, very good matchups with everyone in the league. Even our matchup personally had a close finish, but the thing is, Brian is developing sort of a playoff woe stigma. Now, Brian can win regular season games. He's actually up there in terms of all time, but it's the playoff matchups or even the clutch games in the regular season. Brian had the same record as me in the same division. He didn't get the bye because he lost to me in our head-to-head, and he lost in his clutch matchup in the playoffs. So he just can't win these important games. I'm also 6-2 against him all time in our head-to-head matchup. That's the most wins I have in any head-to-head matchup ever. Well, it's tied with Finn, but yeah, I have no issue with playing with Brian. It's kind of the same thing for Devin, 5-2 against Devin all time in our head-to-head matchups. Devin actually being the most winning in the last 2 seasons, 18-8. It helps when you go 11-2, record-breaking 2019 season. Followed it up with a 7-6 season. Not a season to be disappointed with, but not as strong as players like me, Brian, Phil, even Josh. So Devin still hung around in there to get the best record in the last 2 seasons. But again, I don't really have any issues with this guy. I traded Devin, the NFL MVP, for a shitter wide receiver 3 in Cooper Kupp, and he still lost. Like Devin and Brian are developing a playoff woe stigma. Again, the clutch games, they just can't pull it through. They're finding a way to get these wins in the regular seasons to put themselves in these clutch games, but they can't win these matchups. They're just having tough times. And I, being a reputable opponent, they can't even get it done against me, as I'm, 11-4 against them all time. It's just, these guys are good, but they still have a lot to figure out if they really want to win the big one. Just like that. That's it. That's it with all the individual stats and performances I have on you guys, but I have a few more things I want to say before I head out of here. I told y'all what I was going to do last year, and I did it. That's the least fraudulent thing in the world. You can make these memes because of my reactions, right? They're funny how I react. It's really good. Some of these memes are funny. Some of them were really funny. If you look back on them now and look what actually happened at the end of the year, they sound like nonsense. A guy who went 7-6, who I traded the NFL MVP to for Cooper Kupp. He floundered in the playoffs again. He does this. This is what he does. And he floundered in the playoffs again. Brian, another winning team these last 2 years, flounders in the playoffs again. Didn't even make the championship. The guy that did make the championship was 1-12 the year prior. You guys fucking stink, dude. Like, what's so funny is that how fraudulent you guys sound when you call me a fraud. When I'm proving that everything I'm doing, everything I'm saying, I'm proving it. It's crazy. I just stopped doing rankings because I kept winning and y'all kept moving me down. Now I just don't respect your guys' opinions anymore, and I understand why, because you guys stink. You're not good at this fantasy stuff. You're just not nice. All our former champions aren't even like top contenders in this league anymore, dude. It's a new age. New faces, new face of the franchises right here. The Memphis Glizzies are back. Like we never left. Y'all will see again that I'm gonna win this year again with a bigger pot. More money in my pocket. I'm just excited. I'm super excited. I will be trying to make a Zoom link for the draft again. That shit was super fun last year. I would definitely want to do that again. And yeah, I think that's everything. So boys, good luck to you. Please just try to stop me. And we'll have ourselves a good season, boys. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go.